Today I'm talking to the beautiful Emma Sutherland. She's a naturopath, author and nutritionist. Hi, Em, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Alex. How are you?
I'm really great, and it's so wonderful to have you here on the program helping us out with something so many people struggle with in modern life, which is that blah. And we
Absolutely.
need to get our mojo back. And I've seen you speak on this a couple of times now, and I just love your approach and your amazing tips. And that is what you and I are here to share with everybody today.
I would love to. It's such a passion of mine.
Yeah. So before we kick into that, can you just share with people your story as to how you ended up where you are today, helping people feel their most awesome?
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty lucky. I was, I brought up in a family that, we took echinacea instead of antibiotics, and our doctor was also a herbalist and a homeopath. So I was very lucky, and I didn't realize that the whole world didn't live like this until I was about 16 at high school, and all my friends were taking Panadol or, whatever it was for their period pains. And I was like, oh, I was taking ginger. So I was very lucky.
Yeah.
And I just don't think, I just didn't realize that the whole world wasn't like that. And then my mom moved over to a little island in Greece called Ithaca, totally tiny, tiny island, very remote. And so I would go and spend time over there, and I would look at the old people on the island, and they'd be like 85, 90. And at the time, my grandparents were around 70 and quite ill. And these old people on Ithaca were so vibrant. They had, we call it kefi in Greek, which is like this spirit, this energy, this kind of joie de vivre, this essence. And I was like, oh my God, I want some of that, and I'd look at what they were doing, and it was all the simple stuff, Alex. They drank water from the local spring. They, had a very obviously Mediterranean diet. They picked the herbs off the mountain when they, knew they were getting a cold. They would go and pick the wild sage, and it was the simple things. And I came back from time over there thinking, how do I translate that experience and my kind of quite natural upbringing into a career? And that was when naturopathy came calling, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah. So we can't all be drinking from the natural spring out the side of the mountain and picking wild sage when we feel like we're coming down with something. And so I'm very keen to pick your brain about what you just said with how can I translate that and make that accessible so that we can still access that feel-good stuff and the energizing stuff without all moving to Ithaca. No doubt your mum would be quite shocked if we all turned up. So
She'd love it.
I bet she'd cook for us all. So getting your mojo back, how do we lose our mojo? What are some of the things that make us feel a bit lackluster that you've come across with clients over the years?
I think there's some common themes that I see. The effect of the environment on our health is ubiquitous now. It's very hard to live in a bubble and not be affected by, BPAs, off-gassing, chemicals found in our food. So the toxic load that our bodies have to carry now is much higher than it used to be. So I think that is a huge one. I constantly see gut issues as being another way that we lose our mojo, because when we have gut inflammation, gut dysbiosis, candida, whatever the particular issue with the gut is, we tend not to absorb our nutrients as well as what we should. So, for example, we could be eating a fantastic diet, but how much of the actual nutrition is entering our cells is generally quite compromised. So I think gut health has a lot to do with it. Hormonal imbalances are becoming more and more common. And for any woman, and for any man, we know that when our hormones are out of balance, we really feel it in so many negative ways.
Okay, so Emma, you specialise obviously in helping people get their mojo back. This is a bit of a niche that you've moved into, and you can just see how passionate you are about it. What are the most common things that you've come across that make people lose their mojo?
Oh, it's such a good question, isn't it? And this is multifactorial, so there's so many different things going on. But there are some certain themes that I'm really starting to see coming up time and time again. So one of the first things is that it's very challenging to live in today's world and not have a high toxic load. And you do a beautiful job in this space, but it's impossible live in a bubble and not be affected by things like off-gassing or the chemicals found in conventional food or, the air, the pollution that we breathe. So our bodies have to deal with a higher level of toxins now, and that generally can make our livers a bit sluggish, our digestion a bit sluggish, and can really affect our vitality. So that's a big one. I do see digestive health as being a huge one in Mojo, and you might think, what's that got to do, my gut got to do with things, but it's about the fact that when our gut isn't working as well as it should, we're not absorbing our nutrition. So you could be eating the perfect diet and making all this effort on all this beautiful food and really not actually absorbing the nutrients found within that food and getting them across into your cells. So really the gut health needs to be on board. And coming into that, one thing that I'm picking up on more and more common, also gut infections like blastocystis, which is a parasite, food intolerances, which are really common. And obviously a lot of people feel bloated when they eat wheat, but food intolerances can be quite sneaky. And, once we deal with those, your energy levels come up. So anything to do with your immune system, if that's busy and tied up fighting infections or intolerances, it's draining your body of energy and resources, and therefore your vitality goes down. Hormone imbalances are another huge one, whether it's a man or a woman. Anytime our hormones are imbalanced, we're going to feel that dramatically. It's just such a big one. And it's a simple one, but sleep. I'm a bit of a sleep. I tell my patients they need to sleep because that's when we heal. When we sleep, we heal, and that absolutely has to be at the top of our list if we want to get our mojo back.
So how many hours are you talking? What's the ideal?
Yeah, look, it's interesting because people talk about the amount of hours, and while that is important, I focus more on the quality of that sleep first. So getting into that deep sleep, that deep restful sleep where our body goes into that anabolic state and we're repairing our cells. So, of course, ideally 7 to 8 hours every night is ideal. I myself, I can say that I don't sleep that much. I sleep 6 to 7 hours. But I really work on the quality. So making sure that I have a very good bedroom environment, no EMF, no phones in the bedroom, very dark room, all of those things to increase my sleep hygiene, and using, a meditation app before bed. That sort of thing to improve sleep quality is the thing that I like to work on first.
Okay, brilliant. And so we've lost our mojo, we're feeling blah, we never feel like we've got enough energy and vitality to get through the day.
Yeah.
What are we going to do food-wise to get it back? There's obviously other pieces of the puzzle here, as you mentioned, the stress and looking at our hormones, because those things can be helped with supplementation and herbs and things, but food being the topic of the course. What are your favourite mojo foods? Can you share a few with us?
Yeah, I've got some hero mojo foods that I really, really love because they're so nutritionally packed. To help you mojo. I mean, one that I really, really love is avocado. It's so simple, but avocado is bursting with those omega-3s, which are highly anti-inflammatory. So they help to quench inflammation in our body. And they also have a lot of vitamin E. So vitamin E is a nutrient. It's an antioxidant, of course, but it really helps to support beautiful skin. So we love to look good as well as feel good. So we want all those anti-inflammatory fats and the vitamin E from avocado. And it's so versatile. I mean, you can make dessert with it with raw cacao. You can put it in a smoothie. You can have it on, you can do it so many different ways. That's another reason why I love avocado.
Yeah. I love it just with sea salt. It's divine. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. I also love asparagus, and it's not always in season, but when it is in season, I say load up on it because it's got a compound in it that increases glutathione, which is our body's strongest antioxidant. So it really helps us to get rid of kind of chemicals and toxins out of our body. And it's got a bucket load of B vitamins in there as well, which is always fantastic for your energy levels.
Oh, I love that. Okay, great. Now, often we see, I remember seeing asparagus, sort of product of Mexico, in winter. So I would just love to pick your brain, a little bit off topic, but is it better to hold out until we can get it in season locally, vitamin-wise? Like, because I for some reason I feel like I remember reading about asparagus in particular that over time the vitamins deplete. So, I mean, what on earth are we doing eating Mexican?
I know. And think about the food miles and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you're absolutely right. You know, as soon as something is picked or cut or off the tree, it starts losing its nutrition. So we're talking here about the water-soluble nutrients rather than the fat-soluble nutrients that are lost through heat, through oxygenation. We really need to make sure that we're eating locally. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. If there's asparagus from Mexico, we want to avoid it. We want to eat local and eat in season. So, as I said, while it's a short season, just pack it in, you know, make up for the rest of the year, pack it in, or put it in some soups and freeze them. You know, that's another way to get around the seasonality factor. But, yeah, we really need to be conscious that also the asparagus from Mexico is probably highly sprayed, and the regulations here in Australia of what's able to be sprayed is different to that in Mexico. So we don't know what we're getting.
Exactly. Awesome. Thanks for clearing that up, because I think a lot of people might read that blog post or hear an expert talk about a particular ingredient and think, well, I've just got to get it any way I can. And so they have it in freeze-dried powder form and all the... It's actually, it's just got to be in season. Nature has this beautiful way of sorting us out seasonally if we access what she's offering in each step of the year to make the complete annual picture. A healthful one. So, yeah, sorry to tangent, but I think that's an important message.
And it also comes up, you know, when you think about food energetically, which I really like to do it this way as well, you know, spring foods, if you look at what asparagus is, it's a sprout, it's a spring food, and it's packed with a totally different nutrient profile than, a root vegetable that's in season in winter. And we've got to look at the kind of nurturing element of those nutrients. So in spring, we want a lot of B vitamins. We want to feel, you know, it's time for cleansing. And that's why nature's packed it in the way that she does. So eating out of season also puts our body in that slight state of imbalance that we're getting potentially the wrong nutrients for our body processes at that time of the year.
Yeah, brilliant. So we've got avocado, we've got asparagus. Hit me up with some more. What else?
Yeah. Pomegranate. Now, pomegranate is a really exciting one because A, it's a lot of fun. B, I find it a bit of a stress release because as I'm bashing those out of there, I'm like, get it out. But pomegranates are really rich in antioxidants. But there's been really interesting research showing that pomegranate actually increases libido in both men and women. Now, you know, having healthy hormones is a big part of having a life filled with mojo. So anything that can support our hormones is going to be fantastic. The other thing that people don't think about with pomegranate is that it's absolutely loaded with fiber. So to have good digestive health, we need to be eating good amounts of fiber, and the average person is not getting anywhere near the 30 grams of fiber each day that they're supposed to. And that fiber is a fuel source for all the good bacteria that live inside our gut. So we want to keep them happy and feed them some nice fiber.
Awesome. So what does 30 grams of fiber look like in a day?
Look, it's quite a lot when you think about it.
If we were talking 30 grams of fiber from veggies. Yeah. Like how many serves are we talking?
Oh, you'd be talking kind of for 4 or 5 cups, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot. And, you know, I would say that the average Australian, I would say, probably has about 10 to 12 grams of fiber a day. Obviously, the more processed a food is, the less fiber is in it. And you're going back to this, you know, whole foods, unprocessed food, a way of eating naturally will increase your fiber levels. But, you know, anything that has seeds has a bucket load of fiber. So we're talking, you know, kiwi fruit, chia seeds, pomegranates, anything that has seeds inside it, figs, is a fantastic source of fiber. So, you know, even 1 kiwi fruit a day or, you know, a dried fig a day, just adding that in is really going to help support your fiber levels. You know, it's much better to get your fiber that way rather than taking something like Metamucil or something that's really devoid of nutrition and is just, you know, nutrient deplete fiber. And it doesn't make sense. But
in 4 to 5 cups, if we turn that into a beautiful salad, a starter soup, a beautiful fresh kiwi fruit to get us through mid-morning. It's not hard.
It's not hard. We've just got to be organised and think about it and put the, conscious effort into making sure that you're actually doing that on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you suggest that plant fibre is the best way to go rather than, well, obviously grains come from plants anyway to begin with.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Vegetables are your number one recommendation when it comes to fibre?
Absolutely, and purely because they are so nutrient dense. If you look at, weight per weight of vegetable fibre as compared to, grain-based fibre, you're getting far more better package, let's say, better bang for your buck by having the vegetables every single time.
Yeah, because you get your fibre plus everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've talked pomegranate, we've talked avocado, asparagus.
Yeah.
Something else?
Yeah, quinoa. Now, I'm sure everybody is eating lots of quinoa at this point, but the reason I love quinoa is, once again, it's very versatile, but it also is a complete protein. So it contains all the amino acids required by your body to actually form a whole protein. So this is fantastic for anyone that, obviously vegetarians and vegans, but also people that, they want to do meat-free Monday and they want to kind of have a few days off animal-based protein each week. Quinoa is a fantastic option for them to add into their diets. Mm-hmm. It's also really rich in magnesium, which is our number one relaxing mineral. So magnesium is beautiful for, I think anyone living in the 21st century could do with the dose of magnesium, because it does help us relax and just, really support our adrenal glands.
Fab. And if we have that quinoa salad for dinner, then that's prepping us for a nice relaxing sleep.
Absolutely.
Okay, looking good.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a last one with us? Have we got time?
Yeah. Look, I think it's confusing, this world of superfoods, but I think keep it simple, experiment, choose one superfood, play with it, and then next time you want to buy something different. So maybe try spirulina, then next time buy some acai or buy some maca powder. But just try experimenting with superfoods and really look at the true superfoods. I mean, I saw a TV ad the other day saying that oats were a superfood, and I laughed out loud, and I thought, oh, this is just such marketing BS, isn't it? I mean, it's just... But the true superfoods they're so nutrient-packed that you only need a little bit. You shouldn't be eating bucket loads of superfoods. A teaspoon a day is all, your body would need. So pop it into a smoothie, add it to some natural yogurt, do whatever you want to do with it, but just start adding in some superfoods into your diet on a regular basis is a great idea, especially if you're feeling a bit tired or if you're, constantly getting little coughs or sore throats, that kind of thing. Adding in a superfood is a great idea.
And I think a lot of people receive mixed messages around superfoods. Is it hype? Is it... But really what you're talking about is that nutritional bang for your buck per gram, literally.
Yes.
And in the modern world, when we're all busy, we almost have to safeguard ourselves, don't we, to make sure we're getting that nutrition in a really intense form, to make sure that if dinner goes awry and it's a quick cocktail party in bed, then at least we've had that beautiful smoothie with a couple of delicious superfoods in the morning to get us through.
Totally. Yeah, it is like having a bit of insurance, making sure that we are getting that kind of really intense dose every day is really going to be beneficial in the long term. And I think you need to think about superfoods and diet always in the long term about what's going to be best for me, this cumulative effect of every day being gentle and beautiful with my diet and how I'm going to feel in the long term. I think that's always best.
Awesome. So you're a mum. You have a business. You write books.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the life of Emma. How do you make real food easy, achievable? Is it, you mentioned being organised before, but what does being organised look like to you? How do you ensure that you get what you need every day to keep your mojo, having such a busy life?
Yeah, I really do live by the motto of keeping it simple, and I'm a huge fan of simple meals and I have the same meals quite frequently. So dinner for me might look like, let's say, 2 marinated chicken thighs with a couple of cups of steamed veggies. That's it. Not fancy. It's quick. It's simple. It's easy. I'm also a big fan of making enough so that I've got leftovers for lunch, so that I don't have to think about lunch. And I'm often found having leftovers for breakfast. A savoury breakfast is fantastic in my books, but it's about keeping it really simple and uncomplicated, and having meals that you can repeat. You don't want to eat the same thing every single day, but, don't feel like it has to be MasterChef or gourmet every night. Just keep it really simple. As much as possible, I will try and eat organic food, so that I truly believe with organic foods I can eat less. Like, my portions are a little bit smaller because I think the nutritional intensity of those foods actually makes me feel satisfied. So it's really about being organised. I go to the markets every week, so I've got my fridge full at the beginning of the week, and I've got a lot of food in the freezer because, as you said, I'm a busy mum and I have long clinic days or long days and I need something instant. It's in the freezer waiting for me. So it is about being organised, and also lowering the expectations on not trying to be MasterChef or too complex or complicated.
Yeah, beautiful. And so my last little question for you is one around this whole idea of treats. Now, I find it fascinating that we save our most toxic crap for feeling special.
Yeah.
Or for our kids at birthday parties, or as a special treat after sport. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me how the word treat has gotten mixed up into the land of weirdo packets of fakeness.
Yeah.
And often when people move into whole food eating, real food eating, a healthier diet in general, I hate the D word, but, it is the food mix. Let's call it food mix.
Yeah.
But then they still have this emotional, cultural attachment to these foods. Have you got any wisdom for people who really need to make a clean break from that stuff? Any success tips that you want to share?
Yeah, look, over the years I've come to learn that my patients fall into one of two categories. They're either what I call abstainers or they're what I call moderators. So abstainers are people that, let's say, for example, if you're an abstainer, you can't have a packet of Tim Tams in your fridge, because if you know they're there, you'll think about them, you'll torture yourself about should you, shouldn't you, oh, I should, I shouldn't, and then you go and eat the whole packet, and then you'll be with guilt. So an abstainer is somebody that needs to just not have those foods immediately available, whereas a moderator would be, I'll go and have one Tim Tam, and then they forget about it for another week or so. In my experience, 5% of people are moderators, 95% are abstainers. So what we need to do in this case is actually be brutally honest with ourselves and work out what's driving that emotion and what's driving that craving. And it's always an emotion, and it'll be tied back to something in your past that you need to dig up and find out. So I do refer a lot to psychologists. I do recommend that people do some EFT or some tapping. I love NLP as well, to try and work out what's underlying that emotion, because trying to do a Band-Aid solution of just not having those foods and not working out what's driving it isn't going to work in the long run, because in your next weak moment, you're more than likely to succumb.
You're back. Yeah.
So if you can work out what's driving it, I mean, I used to be a coffee fiend, an absolute coffee fiend. I would have 3 double shots every single day, have a coffee before I went to bed. Oh, coffee doesn't affect me, I'm fine, total denial. And then one day I just thought, this is getting ridiculous. It's just so stupid, but why do I do it? And what I realized was that I loved the rush of it. I loved that adrenaline kind of, it made me feel anxious. And I liked that. Mm-hmm. And the reason I liked it is because I liked that kind of the rush of it.
Made you feel alive almost.
It made me feel alive. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I need to find another way to do this. So I stopped coffee. Like, that's it, no more. And I drink tea now, so I still have some caffeine. But I don't drink coffee, and as a result, my anxiety significantly decreased, and I feel a lot calmer. Mm-hmm. So it is about being really honest with ourselves and working out what's the link, what's the driver to drive that behavior. Is it a reward? Is it out of boredom? Is it out of frustration? What's driving that behavior? Because we really need, for true holistic health, we really need to get right on top of that. And it's not easy, and it can be really challenging, and many times we fall down and have to get up again. But yeah, it absolutely, you need to be really honest with yourself. I think that's the key.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and all your other beautiful tips. I will have for everybody where they can find you, connect with you, maybe join one of your fabulous community cleanses at some point.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
And I just want to thank you so much once again for sharing your wisdom, your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
My pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Bye, Emma.